Okay. It is Tuesday, December 19th, 2017. Call meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One and no more.
Minutes and reports received and filed.
I have November 2017 collector fees filed, and that's all.
Commissioner Committee Liaison Reports, upcoming meetings and events.
We had a Board of Realtors Political and Economic Responsibility Committee meeting today. Health has their Christmas lunch and dessert bake-off tomorrow. Cole County Sheriff's Office Christmas tomorrow. And Christmas, I think that's about it. Till our next meeting Tuesday.
I got tomorrow there's a Switch to America meeting. Thursday I got to sit in on some RPC interviews. Having some turnover there, so.
I got Cap Region Board meeting tonight, Health Department, Sheriff's, Jeff City Labor Council party Wednesday night. And I got that's it too. Christmas! Commission comments, bids and contracts. Do we have any unfinished business?
No.
New business, accounts payable review.
I'd ask for approval of accounts payable, second last one of the year.
So, I'd just like to see where we're at before we make any changes to the budget. I'd like to see where all this is the last pay run.
No, we'll have another one, and we'll have another payroll yet. The second last one, this one is. I mean, I don't anticipate the other one being very big.
Right, the last one's just kind of if you need to get something paid, because otherwise it would be a month before we make another accounts payable payment. So there's one that's due this Friday, paid next Tuesday.
So, is that normally how we do it, or we're making an exception here, or why don't they have the bills turned in?
Well, we just looked at the calendar as far as when we approved next year's budget compared to when we were cutting off this year. It's a month. We usually don't go that long in between pay and AP. A lot of them are utility based, so we can't, really don't want to wait and pay penalties on
So like
those.
we haven't gotten the phone bill for
December.
the month yet, so we're kind of waiting and.
It's all about how the year ends out, but.
So it's mainly utilities and stuff?
And phone bills, it could be, I think there's a couple other ones I got yesterday, there were.
There are a few too that if they needed a transfer, they had to wait till today. So
Yeah.
they can't enter that until you sign the transfer today.
Okay.
But today is the cutoff for transfers.
Yes.
So no transfers after today, except for maybe that phone bill.
And except for if I have to fix payroll stuff.
So here's my comment that I gave to you yesterday that we sent out. It's like, okay, people have already purchased stuff, they've already got a bill for it, and yet they haven't done a transfer or got it approved yet. And so therein lies a huge problem, because if we don't approve the transfer, they can't pay the bill. And so the transfer should have been done 2 or 3 weeks ago before they ever purchased it. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I mean, if you don't have the money, you shouldn't be spending it.
Correct.
Yeah, what are we gonna do on the circuit clerks?
And that transfers in there with you guys, I think it was on Chris's desk. It's quarterly office supplies bills, it's to pay us back, it's to pay the county back
Yeah.
for things they've already purchased here. If we don't get it paid now, I mean, I guess we can make them use their interest money to pay it, or some other mechanism to pay it. I did show you those 2 transfers that were made, that came out of office supplies through the year, and that's why probably she's short right now. One of them was to buy scanners, another one of them was to fix her ice machine. Technically, I don't think that should have ever come out of there, to fix her ice machine. So that was $1,200. That wouldn't have been enough to do her 4th quarter office supplies.
Can we just deduct it from next year's budget?
You can do whatever you want as far as office supplies go. But there lies the problem with, they purchase, but then the bill doesn't come out to the end of the quarter. Assuming most people would keep money to pay those quarterly bills, but we have no.
Just like your own checking account. You gotta have a little bit in there left so you can pay your bills, so. Anyway.
So either you need to let us know about that transfer too. If you're not gonna approve that, then I wanna back that office supplies out of there.
I think it's just some discussions that we have to have, and either this week or next week on how we're gonna do that. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that, I mean, the utilities and the phone bills, I mean, all that stuff is what it is. I mean, and we do those every other week or whatever.
Right. And as far as the phone bills go, as far as budget transfers, you know, we do our best to estimate what those bills are gonna be, and we keep it pretty tight for local and long. So there may be some transfers there, you know, that we need to do to get that last bill paid,
Right.
so.
So there might be a couple
Yeah.
that we'll have to pay next week based on these transfers. But
And
I don't
as soon as
I
we
don't
get-
wanna see 50.
Yeah. No,
Right
I-
now, it's open, so if you have something that comes in that needs to be paid, either way, we will be backing it in as account payable, so whether you pay it now or you pay it in January, as far as our financial statements are concerned, that gets backed in depending on the date of the bill. So we would prefer that if you have bills that are for this year, that you get them paid out.
Got a microphone.
Um,
Just have her come up to the table. If we're gonna talk about this, come on up to the table.
So I don't have a problem with that, but I mean, we have a certain cutoff date when bills are supposed to be turned in. And that should have been last Friday or whatever, and that's what we're approving today. And so all the bills that should have been paid by the end of the year should have already been turned in, and we should be paying them.
But the concern is the time frame. So the 15th was last Friday. We will not make the first payment in January until, what, the 17th or 18th?
Yeah. So, right, because the budget's not approved to the 9th. We're saying the accounts payable will be due the 12th, and then we won't actually mail the checks to the 16th. So that's a whole month that we decided that wasn't quite the way we do business, you know, is every 2 weeks, especially for some of the utilities, not to end up with charges. We always play this game at the end of the year as far as when the last accounts payable is going to be, how it falls with Christmas, New Year's, you know, and when we have the budget approved for the next year.
Well, all that comes into play when we start looking at how if we're gonna be moving some money around and changing the budget before the end of the year. And so, you know, when we don't know what's coming out this year, it's a little hard to say what we're gonna put in the budget for next year. I mean, that's just my opinion,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I agree, it's just,
you know, obviously the 15th, you know, if it was due on people could have called and asked for the bill so they could have paid it.
there are quite a few in there that are emails and stuff like that to pay. So,
I mean,
And I'm pretty sure there's some departments that are done. I mean,
Yes.
if they have it, they've paid it and but I
'Cause
do
I-
know that there's a couple that people are waiting on the final invoice, or we're waiting on the phone bill. We're waiting on that last bill to come, and the 15th wasn't getting it.
and we just got the financial institution tax that has to go back out to all of our people, so we entered those actually this morning to try and get them in this run, so we don't have so much for come Friday. So, I mean, there's stuff that,
But their cutoff is Friday morning.
yep. 22nd.
And their cutoff for transfers was today.
Okay.
Not to say we won't have some.
Unless it's us.
Yeah, that's right. Not to say we won't have some here to get the phone bills paid.
So then in order to know what our expenses totals for the end of the year is, we won't know that till Friday.
Right.
And those bills will be entered and we won't approve those till Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay.
While we're talking about it, I got two to talk to you about. Do you want to do it now or you want to wait till the end?
Sure.
That's fair.
Accounts payable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one is,
Yeah.
Joe Kunstein's office called and said that they have his bond bill there. They paid it in January of this year, but his bond runs December 30th to December 30th. So the bank's wanting that payment now. They asked if they could take next year's money, have it now to pay it, and not put it in the budget for next year, but we're gonna be in the same situation next December, because they're gonna want it paid in December.
Okay.
So it's kind of up to you guys. Do you want to pay his bill now? Do you want to wait until January?
Because we'll need a transfer with that one.
Right, we'll have to transfer if you're gonna pay it now.
Are they wanting the money now?
Well, the bond runs December 30th to December 30th. So for his new bond to kick in, they want it paid before the end of the year.
Yeah, they have it.
Are you on accounts receivable or payable?
Yes.
I can't get in mine.
Oh, as far as in the, I'm not in Equalizer or the
Yeah, mine's
BSNA.
just saying database connection invalid. It'll have valid and then it does some thinking and then it says invalid.
I mean, I say we pay it this year and then, you know, I mean, there's no sense taking it out of next year's money because we're gonna have to pay it again
In
next year.
December, right.
I mean, I just make some notes on it.
Yeah, we need to
sure
make
we-
that.
So we wanted to transfer and get his paid this year and leave it in next year to pay in December next year.
Yeah.
It'll be 1,500. And then the other one is, Parks. Carrie sent me the spreadsheets from Parks. I only have one copy, sorry.
Yeah, that, I already seen that.
So they submitted two different versions. They've been billing their costs all year. One is with a particular employee that's been working at the parks. I asked them to figure the same number of hours at a maintenance worker's salary.
Right.
So you can see on the last page of both of those, the amount that they're short depending on which version you want to use. One is $10,000, the other one is 3,000 something. They do have some money in park improvements that we were gonna transfer to the reimbursement of personnel.
You wanna look at this?
I saw it briefly a while ago.
Yeah.
What are we having to decide today?
Well, they don't have enough money to make that final payment, so do you want to transfer money into there and what amount do you want to transfer?
They got a budget. How did they go over budget?
In the past few years, we've only been giving them $18,000, and then this year they had 10,000 in park improvements.
If you don't have the money, you can't do the park improvements.
They've started also tracking their equipment time, which is something new. The total for it was 6,000 something this year. That's something new that they've not done in the past.
So do we have that figure in the budget for next year?
Nope. We left the budget at 18,000 and then we put 6,000 that they can use for those improvements. And I think the discussion needs to be had as to whether or not there's some equipment that we need to purchase for parks. Do we need
Yeah,
to
I
get
think we
them
were
their own
I think we were
chainsaw and their
talking
own
about
trimmer and another mower? Are those things that we need to purchase for the parks and stop using road and bridges equipment?
So, where are you seeing the equipment costs at?
It's the last column there.
Oh.
The detail I
I
have
see.
upstairs, but those are just summary sheets. Yeah, you can. Well, is that
So, latest one, this one.
I think that's just the summaries. That's not the detail. Those are the ones I printed out. I have ones upstairs that detail each person. Yeah, see, those are the ones I printed.
So what amount are they needing? Are they needing the 10 or are they needing the 3?
Well,
This
so,
is just reimbursements to Road and Bridge?
yes.
So the 10 is what they actually, is that right?
Yes, if you use the staff person that they used, yes. I have a little bit of a problem using the particular staff person that they did at that rate.
If you don't, it's the 32.
Right, if you do not use that salary for that staff person, if you use a maintenance worker salary for the number of hours that that staff person
Right, I
worked,
get what you're
that's the
saying.
difference between the 3 and the 10.
Right? Obviously, that's a problem that has been ongoing, and I've talked to Larry, and we're gonna get that fixed. That doesn't really address what they've spent and overspent and everything else, but the actual cost is, but I can see what you're saying. You pay it at one cost and let them eat the rest.
Well,
That
I
would-
wouldn't pay at my house to have an engineer come cut my grass, so I think that's the difference. I would pay a maintenance worker to come mow my grass, but I wouldn't.
So where's the money gonna come from?
Contingency. They don't have money anywhere else in the parks budget to pay for it.
It's gonna come out of contingent.
General fund
General,
contingency.
yeah.
Yep. So we just need to know from you all what amount you're comfortable with.
Did you ever get into BSNA?
Oh, I was restarting my computer. I didn't try again. Try it real quick.
So what do you guys wanna do? It's 3,000 or it's 10,000, basically.
Right.
So do we reimburse them for what they've actually done or what they're billing us for, or do we reimburse them for what they should be billing us for?
I don't say we have to reimburse them for what they've done, but we just tell them next year, we're not gonna do it. It's, they can use a maintenance one.
Well, there's just a whole lot of stuff and a whole lot of people that are doing stuff out there that they either can't afford or, I mean, they need to scale it back and maybe all they do is mow the grass. I don't know, but, and obviously they made some improvements at Brooks Park and it's probably some of that is
Most of
related
the
in there.
improvements at Brooks Park came out of sales tax because we had that grant funding. So their salary got reimbursed through the grant,
And
a
you'll see
portion
bill
of
in
it.
there for that this time. To reimburse
So-
personnel.
that upgrade to Burks Park is not included in this cost.
So some of those hours from other persons out there, was that for, do we know what that was for? I mean, was
Trimming
that-
trees or,
Is that doing some of that clearing below the dam out there at County Park probably?
yeah, I mean, I do have a detailed list upstairs if you want it. I did not bring
I
it
was just
down
curious, I
with me.
mean, some of that was equipment operators and just don't recall us doing a whole lot of other stuff. I don't remember if we did that last year or this year. But
And I think we need to have the discussion as to what the reimbursement rate for equipment is going to be. If we're going to continue to use Road and Bridges equipment, they've come up with a rate that they're currently using to bill us. I have not gone through the calculation for that rate.
so do we need to get down in the weeds a little bit more on parks and try to give them an idea of how many hours they have to take care of the parks and,
I think they need some direction, and I know that the past few years they've asked for a person in parks dedicated to the parks.
right?
We haven't gone there because in the past we didn't have a good number of hours. Now it looks like we have a good number of hours, but do we want to, you know, build up some equipment for the parks before we dedicate a person, or it's just kind of where you guys want to go with it. It doesn't look like currently there's enough that it would be full-time for someone all year.
Well, I think Larry at one time had talked about having somebody, you know, in the winter time, they could, you know, do snow removal, things like that.
What are they gonna do if it doesn't snow?
Right. And it does make life difficult to try to split a person between
Yeah.
funds. That's not an easy task to do.
I mean, there's still a little bit of stuff that has to be done year round at the parks, but it's mainly checking the trash and, that's pretty much it, so. Cause they shut down the bathrooms at County Park in the winter and, so.
If they're charging us $6,000 for equipment, we probably need to look at just purchasing some equipment
I
that's
mean-
dedicated just to the park.
I did go through their list. I mean, it's probably trimmers and chainsaws. It is the person who's emptying the trash or mowing using their truck. And then if it's someone clearing or something and they're using another piece of equipment, that's one thing, but those are the big items. And then we do use one of their John Deere mowers quite often.
I mean, I say if we got time, we just get Larry and, I don't know, Larry or Bishop or whoever's in charge of parks, and we just dive down into it and we say, this is what you got to work with. And, you know, that's it. So this is how many hours you can spend mowing grass. This is how many hours you got to go check trash. So many times a week. And this is the position that you have, and this is the rate that you're gonna pay. And he's aware of that.
Do we have summer temps? I mean,
There-
you see that with the city. They had two who spent the whole summer painting our light poles.
There is a part-time person, I think is the last person on the list there, that did a lot of the mowing in the summertime, I think.
So I think this year by only transferring the 321457 tells them this is what you guys feel that we should have used, you know. Sorry, you used something different, But then going forward, I think you've got that solved. So I don't think you'd want to pay the bigger part now. I think you'd want to pay this and then move forward
Paperwork.
with giving them the direction.
I mean, I don't feel that way at all. I don't feel like this is what they should have used. I feel like what they should have used was a whole lot less than that. So, I mean, I figure they've way overspent. They've used way too many resources at the parks that they didn't have the funds to cover. And so now it's gonna hit them in their fund. That's the part that they don't like. And so we just gotta cut back on parks. I'm not saying we're not gonna take care of our parks, but we gotta take care of it in a whole lot less costly situation. So technically, we could not approve anything.
Sure. I just thought maybe you were going for the other one. I'm like, I don't think that one is where we want to go. The 10,000.
Thoughts there, Santa?
I should've got it. Should've got it in the beard.
Yeah, the other one too.
Wish I had your the bow tie.
But is it over because this year, at the beginning of the year, did they know that we were gonna charge $13 a day for the truck? What else did we charge for different
They came
things?
up with it.
I'll work with them on that part of it, but you've got a budget beginning of the year, so if you only have enough time and labor and equipment to, and as simple as it sounds, to check the trash only once a week, and that's all you can do.
Right.
Either that or close it down. I'm not a big parks person, I'm not sure what the benefit of it is, and with government providing that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, it's an asset that we have. I think it's a good asset. I mean, County Park is our flagship park. You know, we spent a lot of money out there on various improvements, but we also have, you know, someone that takes care of a big portion of it on a lease, and so that really doesn't cost us anything, that they maintain it. And we got rid of a couple properties that people thought were parks in Osage City. But I agree with you. I mean, you have to be conscious of parks because it's just a cost. I mean, it's kind of it's a great thing for people to enjoy, but I mean, it's a cost to the Cole County. And so you just got to try to minimize some of that cost. And we added playground equipment at Brooks, and we got playground equipment at Thanen, and we got playground equipment at Cole County Park. But anyway, I mean, that stuff just doesn't sit there and not require some maintenance.
I don't even know why we need playground equipment. You got all kinds of playground equipment out here. Jeff City's got several parks. If you want to use one of their parks, we can take advantage of their amenities.
They
So,
also have a
Health and wellness,
space
Jeff.
for them.
Yeah.
so many people from Russellville come out to the park. I'm just bringing it up, you're from Russellville,
At Cole County Park?
to Cole County Park.
I don't know.
I'm
Yeah.
from St. Thomas. So probably the most of the people using it are from inside city limits. So maybe we should charge them because then,
Well, Thanen Park.
They're using the county
Thanen
park.
Park gets a lot of use from Westview Heights, so anyway.
well, okay, that one, Thanen Park's a little different.
And Brooks Park gets a lot of people from probably the Rainbow Drive area and some of that. I mean, it's more of a neighborhood park, and so I'll give you that. I mean, yeah, St. Martin's has their own park, and most of your communities have their own parks, so.
You have Binder Lake right out 2 miles from it, so if you wanna go fishing,
But
go
well,
out to Bender.
I've seen you at Cole County Park many times watching ball games, so. I
I
know
also
you-
pay for them. I pay for every bit of them.
So,
You know what, we could take that part, and I guarantee you the ones running it would buy that in a heartbeat,
Yeah,
and they'd be happy to.
so. Anyway, I'm
We
just
just-
saying,
we got a
there's a
budget.
lot of people that are there.
I'm fine with the minimal amount that we spend on it, it's just going over that budget amount. Was it because now we're charging them, back charging them for the equipment that we're using for public works? They're having to reimburse that.
Well, we need
I'm
to sit
sure in
down with
fairness,
them.
they asked for more than that
They did, well, yes.
for this year.
They have asked for more money in parks. It's just part of general fund that's not always possible to give more money to the parks.
I'm sure they would probably let law enforcement take it over if they wanted to run it, you know, that and animal control. We'll find out if the sheriff's listening this morning. And you know, he might make a trade for that animal control over the parks.
I don't think it's the equipment cost that's really taking us over. I think it's the resources of a lot of these other people that weren't necessary. I mean, and some of the equipment costs associated there too. I don't know, I'd like to see the breakdown. I think we ought to just go over that with Larry and see what it is, 'cause
Did we do much discussion on that? I'm trying to remember what we.
They
Well,
did
we-
ask for more money back into parks, because I had cut it back. So there, it's up on the screen. They asked for 32,500 in reimbursement of personnel services and 18,800 in park improvements. I cut them back to the normal 18,000 in reimbursement of personnel and 6,000 in park improvements.
Well, we got a big old building right next to us that has some people that need community service once in a while. They can go empty trash.
They closed that up.
Hmm?
Community service, they closed that up.
I'm sure they still get community service they have to serve.
I don't know. There's no way to keep track of it anymore.
Well, it's good that you don't know. It means you haven't been over there in court.
No, my sister-in-law
Your
works there.
sister-in-law's been in court?
My sister's sister-in-law.
I'm sure they still give people community service. Just 'cause that one closed up over there doesn't mean they don't still have it.
So in my mind, the park improvements can be for personnel if Road and Bridge chooses to use their people to make park improvements. And you can see this year, they kind of did that. Of that 6,000 we've spent, click on that one. A portion of that is for improvements that were done, scroll down. You'll see some costs in there, but that big $4,040 was for their time and equipment for some park improvement projects, which is not included in the cost you guys are looking at there.
a lot of this has to do with Brooks Park and what was included in the grant and what, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where all that, I mean, obviously, they
Well,
can't have all this time and stuff. I mean,
So
there's
there
just,
is an invoice in there right now for the Brooks Park stuff too, and it's coming out of sales tax. Because that's where that grant is rolling through.
right, but I mean, there just wasn't that much parks improvement anywhere else, so I don't know where, you know, maybe some of it came out of the grant, maybe some of it didn't. The only other
Go back to
thing
that
could have
one you
been
just went at.
clearing below the dam out there at County Park, but that couldn't have taken that much time.
That one. Go down to the.
Anyway, what do you guys want to do? I gotta be out of here by 11:15, so. 3,000, 10,000, 0.
So go to the next pages. So there,
More-
grounds cleaning, tree trimming.
More discussions next week.
Well, we could have Larry and him come in.
Well, I think we gotta get it figured out before the first of the
Yeah.
year and before we start doing the same thing we've been doing this year.
Well, this,
Friday's the day.
right, and this is one that they want to get paid before the end of the year if we're going to transfer
Right.
money.
So if we don't transfer the money to parks from Public Works, then Public Works has to eat it.
Yeah.
They had their people actually working out at Parks and Rec.
We can transfer exactly what's left in the budget. We can do the 3,000, or we can go do the 10.
It's just transferring money from one account to the other is all it's doing.
Well, it's funds.
Well, that 3,000
It's not even
includes,
real money. It's like Bitcoins.
It's real money.
it's real money.
It's real money.
Yeah,
If we don't transfer it, then basically Public Works just used some of their salary essentially to run Parks and Rec.
Yep.
Yep, and
So
that's
that's what I'm saying. There's no real,
Right,
it's just exchanging between accounts.
but road and bridges money is to be used on roads and bridges.
a special.
It's a special revenue fund, their funds are restricted, so really we should be reimbursing them.
Or they shouldn't have been
Yes.
well, that's
spending
what we need,
resources on it.
and that's what we need to get this worked out before.
I think the biggest concern from my end was the dollar amount that we were paying for particular employees to work at the parks. I think the number of hours and things like that, the cost of the equipment, I don't have a problem with, but you should have been using a maintenance worker to work at the parks.
And to get that covered for the year is the 3,200.
Plus transferring what's left in park improvements. So it's 6,000 something, but you have to transfer.
Oh,
So,
I didn't know if I could read that part.
0, 3,000, or 10,000. I'm for giving them the 3. I won't give them the 10. And then we gotta fix it going forward.
So the 17 budget was basically 35,000, 34 and some change, right? And you're saying that they're asking for 44,000 and some change. They're 10,000 over using the salary schedule that they use for reimbursement. I guess I'm still just a little disturbed about it being that far over budget. I think we do need to reimburse them, but why was it over that much? Even if you do the 3,000, it's over by quite a bit. That'd be like me having you bid a job for me and you say, well, it's gonna cost 10,000, or 3,000. Well, it was 10,000. I mean, stuff like that happens, but why was it 10,000?
Right.
Was it approved for you to go over?
Right,
Just like you're saying they have to have these transfers approved before they spend it.
right?
So, where were you at, Sam?
Well, I was just saying we just need to pay it, but then the next year we just need to say no.
Pay the 10?
and then you need the difference, which I read there.
So I should
So
say
you're
zero.
the, yeah, so you're the,
I'll say 0 then. There you go, Sam.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
Transfer.
all right. I'll quit messing around.
I think we need to have some serious discussion, so.
That's what we're doing
Before we
now.
go forward, I'm talking for next year now.
No, we
I mean,
better do it now. Don't wait till next year, Sam. Don't push off what you can do tomorrow, today, something like that. 2 birds in a stone or something.
Okay, Ben Franklin.
I'm good at the 3.
Okay. There you go.
And then we'll talk about next year's and,
Yeah,
because if we come back at the end of next year and have the same issue,
yeah, we can.
There's a transfer that wasn't signed.
I think Larry and them are just trying to get us to fire them from the Parks and Rec.
Oh,
Hey, do y'all want to do
building
Parks and Rec?
maintenance.
He's on vacation.
Okay.
Huh?
No, you did it, you changed it. You need 2 lines. That one for that.
All right, what's next?
Okay, next is signing of the order of the County Commission of Cole County, Missouri, accepting a proposal for underwriting, selecting an underwriter in connection with the proposed issuance of limited general obligation bonds for the Randall Drive Neighborhood Improvement District project, and acknowledging certain disclosures pursuant to MSRB Rule G17. How you like them apples? You got that down?
So what are we doing here?
So basically, as you recall, we gave Joy Howard the ability to go back and talk to the underwriter
Right.
that did the underwriting for the other NID. She did go back. She has favorable financing, actually better than she thought from them. So this is just an order to go forward with the underwriting with them. And it's called a G17 agreement. too.
Okay. So we're not approving the financing or anything else? This is
Not
just
yet.
for her to move forward and try to negotiate?
Yeah.
No, she's already
with America.
negotiated.
Sweet.
This is the final with them.
So it's actually choosing them as our underwriter.
Yes.
We're picking them and then they're gonna get ready to sell them, I guess, in February. Is that what they're shooting for?
And that, I just gave you the calendar there that has.
Oh, you want me to look at that myself? You can't just tell me? See how you
Well,
want
I
to do it?
emailed it, but.
There we go. That was a long time ago, though.
Yep, so we're just at the beginning stages, so, but this is to approve the underwriter for this NID.
So we can't really do much until January the 3rd is the last day that people can prepay.
Okay,
At that point, then we'll determine what the amounts are and the size of the issue after we know how many people prepay.
so what's the financing rate?
Won't know until they sell them.
Right.
She's, I think, guessing it's gonna be around 4.
So is that dependent on how many people prepay, or?
Yes, it probably depends a little bit on what rates and stuff are at the time.
What rates are
More-
at the time and
more-
what the size of the issue is.
Yeah, I think more of that than,
By proceeding with the same underwriter with this arrangement that Joy's negotiated, it does reduce her fees by $2,000 if you stay with the same underwriter, because she doesn't have to go back out and do the work on that.
That's being passed to the NID, right?
Yes, yeah, it doesn't really take
It
time,
is,
but
but-
it passes to the users.
You guys good?
Yeah. Keep on rolling with it.
Okay, did you make a motion to approve that order?
No, Sam read all this and didn't make the motion. Now you gotta read it again. I move that we sign an order of the County Commission of Cole County, Missouri, accepting a proposal for underwriting, selecting an underwriter in connection with the proposed issuance of limited general obligation bonds for the Randall Drive Neighborhood Improvement District project, and acknowledging certain disclosures pursuant to MSRB Rule G17.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And we need to go back to accounts payable and approve accounts payable.
Oh,
I did finally get mine to come up, yeah.
I move that we approve accounts payable pending review.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. EMS budget discussion. Jerry, you sure?
I'll wade into the pool.
You missed all the fun last week, so.
So,
The sheriff brought donuts last week.
I saw the mayor yesterday and asked her if she was gonna bring donuts today. I guess not. sent you an email last week, and, you know, I recognize that you're in a really difficult spot with the budget. But I really want to keep the momentum going that was started by the consultant. And a couple of line items are going to be difficult to make it work and keep that momentum going. And the two that I really wanted to address and ask that you consider increasing a little bit were organizations and meetings. The organizations, it was recommended by the consultant that we get out more and that we belong to professional organizations and both state and national level, and I can tell you that pays a lot of dividends for us, not only with information we get in podcasts and things like that, but just in general, having access to a lot of additional information that we normally wouldn't have. Plus, as the EMS provider in the capital city of Missouri, I think it's prudent that we belong to these organizations. I did trim both of these back a lot, but you approved $5,000 for organizations, and I'll ask that you reconsider that to $6,750, so a $1,750 increase. Meetings, again, one of the recommendations from the consultant was that we get our people out, we get more education for them, we get more training for them. It makes the system more robust, provides us additional clinical skills and sophistication that normally we wouldn't have access to. My initial request was $40,000. That included the scholarships for the paramedics, which was taken out and reduced to $25,900. You approved $5,500 last week. We put a group together and went through our initial list, and we're really going to need to get some folks trained as critical care paramedics, and doing that will essentially eat up all of that. To train 4 critical care paramedics will eat up all that. And the plan was to train about half of the paramedics so that we would have, the cost is expensive, so that we would have adequate coverage on every shift. So eventually we're going to have to train about a dozen or so paramedics. We were going to start with 4 this year, and that was almost $5,000. So what the request is that after having reviewed the meetings, conferences, and educations that we requested, we would ask that you would reconsider that $5,500 into $13,400. And you know, I know you're in a difficult spot, but you know, we're willing to do our part, certainly, and I don't believe that our budget overall is unreasonable for next year, and isn't something that we can live without. But I would just ask that you would reconsider these two things so that we can continue the momentum that we started this year. Oh, did I mention we're about $500,000 over in revenue?
I was going to bring something up to that effect, where we're at with revenue, because that's going to be the biggest thing. When we were talking about making a lot of changes, we had a lot of them that we were going to be capturing more revenue, increasing more revenue. We got the fees going to go up.
The projection right now, I think, is about $500,000 over, about $500,000 over what was projected. We've already met the annual projection to date. We've already met that.
I'm not sure you're gonna meet $500,000.
For revenue?
Right now, you're at 30, I can't read it, Debbie.
97.
3097. And we've been averaging about 250,000 a month, 270. So you're gonna be about 300.
The report that maybe I took it off the budget number or something.
Well, we were projecting that earlier when we did projections for the budget, 3439, but I don't think you're gonna get there.
Okay, that's, yeah, so that's what I was looking at, 2.9 versus 3.4. So, well, we're gonna be over.
Were you gonna say something about the revenue, Jeff, or did you lose your train of thought, or?
Well, I'm gonna approve stuff that's gonna probably generate more revenue. That's where I'm at on these. I don't disagree with you that the organizations and some of the stuff would be good being involved in, but where we're gonna take it from then. So if we wanna increase those, what do we need to decrease to make up for them? So we're wanna go to the okay, I don't know, I got my crayons up here going through it all, trying to catch up again. 10,345.
It'd be a total increase of 9,650 for both of those. If you did the 13,400 and the 67,500.
What was the increase in the meetings for?
Twofold. One was for conferences to stay current on clinical procedures and practice. The second was emergency medical dispatching. Those protocols and policies change annually. And the third was the leadership development, administrative conferences to help you with your overall operational efficiencies, how to do things better yet cheaper. So there's 3 different types of conferences that were included in this.
So
where we cut was the number. What we're trying to do is accomplish the mission without spending all the money that we anticipated. So like for the conferences that I asked for, instead of sending 2 people, we'd send 1. I cut the DC trips out. We could take that as needed. If I get a request to go with a contingent to Washington DC, I'll come and ask like I did last time. We took those out. So that's how we came back to the 13,400 was we felt like that accomplished the original mission that we wanted to accomplish without spending $25,900. So I guess it's just a little more than half of that.
Debbie, can you pull that back up? I mean,
Sure.
I want to know what meetings we're talking about. I mean, obviously, you know, if we need training or whatever, so.
We just kind of lumped them all in this.
Well, I realize that. So, but that's kind of what I'm asking Jerry there. I mean.
So in essence, cut all those in half is what we did, and took the DSAT. I was trying to figure out, there was a 0 in.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That was another EMS conference. That's the one called EMS Expo. So basically what we did in short was we cut all of these in half, and we took the DC trips out.
I think it was 2
Scroll
personnel.
down, Debbie.
Okay.
See what else is down there.
Sure.
The scholarships out, we left the paramedics, and instead of sending, I was going to send Kevin and Dr. Ludy to that National Medical Director Conference. I just put Dr. Ludy in and took Kevin out. So the sum of all that ended up being 13,400.
Okay, the critical care course, I mean, is that something that our trainer can go and learn that and teach that?
It's put on by the university. It's an in-depth course. It's $1,000 to $1,200. We put $1,200 in for next year because it's already $1,000 this year, and I would assume they're going to have an increase. It's a 2-month class. It's to do those high-end, I would call them helicopter type trips, where you've got the ventilator, you've got a bunch of IV medicated drips hung, and all that. If we're going to expand that level of our business, we're going to need a cadre of those folks. Just in discussing it, we thought half of the paramedic staff, There's another thought that we've had internally that maybe we could just train the supervisors to do that, and they could jump on the ambulance as the third person, and Kevin and I would cover while they're gone. Because generally, these trips are just to the university, generally. Anything longer than that, if they're that sick, they fly them. We're just trying to figure out a way to get us coverage, but at any rate, we're going to need to train some folks to do that. And again, the reimbursement for those calls is, I don't remember exactly, but it's exponentially higher than a regular ambulance trip. It's covered it's the highest level that Medicare reimburses. Generally, other insurance companies follow suit with Medicare. We can do those right now without the training. Those are huge liability trips from a medical, legal, malpractice standpoint, and it's part of not only providing good clinical care, but it helps reduce our liability if there was an untoward complication or an incident on the way and we got sued and we were able to demonstrate that these medics were trained to the highest level. It's going to help us. It's not going to avert it, but it's going to help us demonstrate that we've done everything we can do to avoid that. So most systems that I'm aware of that do these kind of trips have at least a group of paramedics that are trained at that higher level. So I think ultimately we're going to need some. I just don't know how many yet.
How many hours is that course? You said it's 2 months. How many?
It's 2 months. I think it's 80 hours total.
So we'd have to backfill someone's time?
No, they go on their off time. Again, we pay for the course. It's a benefit to them. It's an individual certification. They do it on their own time.
Okay.
So can we bill for having this person?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So are they traveling to Columbia to do this? And so they're gonna pay their own way there and back?
We've already had people do that. We've already had people pay their own class because they wanted to do it, to have the knowledge or expertise. So that's how we've done it with these higher end courses. My understanding is we pay for the class and the rest of it's on their own. Now, they could take one of the SUVs. I don't really care about that. I'd help them with some gas and things like that, but the time is on their own because frankly it's an individual certification. I would have said the same thing had the paramedic scholarship gone through, even though that's 1,000 or 1,200 hours. We're providing the course. You're going to have to get the time to go.
So just a little comment on that. I mean, if they're not working and not on the clock, they probably shouldn't be driving our vehicle.
That's true.
So, all right. So I guess I'm kind of with Jeff. I mean, obviously we can increase some places here, but we're going to have to decrease some other places here. We basically had some long discussions, and I don't know if you watched, but anyway, we would just like to keep $1 million as the subsidy.
What is it projected? Is that $1 million now?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if we increase those, it basically decreases their cash. Is that right? I mean, at this point.
Contingency, because cash will.
Well,
Yes.
decreases. You guys.
Sorry.
Decreases their cash.
Okay.
I mean, basically they got less cash and that goes down into contingency, right? I mean.
Well, in their fund, you're budgeting a deficit, so their contingency is less than their cash. So you're going to decrease their contingency even further.
Tomato.
They're gonna decrease their cash. I mean, if they start with this cash and they spend more than what they got, this cash or your contingency or whatever is gonna decrease. It's
Yeah.
the same cash, right?
The cash going into the following year, yes.
Yes. We're saying the same thing. We're just, I mean, my cash in and my cash out is my contingency, right? Yes?
Yeah.
My balance.
So that's how we arrived at, because I wonder
We say it,
how we
I always
arrived at
understand it.
622 for contingency.
They reword it.
It's the difference, so it's your
I think we should
cash
vote to
minus your
change that.
deficit.
Cash
So what
in,
you're saying
cash
is
out.
for the, what was it, Debbie, 8,000?
We need to change
9,000?
something,
Yeah, 9,650.
So
Just
for
take
the
it out of
9,000 and
somebody's-
change,
because if you
You're
look at this
suggesting
number
that
here,
we
it's
have to
got
reduce
it
the 600
included in
to
it, but then last year's
to
doesn't,
613.
or 16's actual spending.
Yes, but it's increasing the deficit that you're budgeting. So
It
if you
throws
take
me
your
off.
cash forward and your contingency and your transfer in out, you are actually in a spending deficit at the moment with your current revenue and current expenditures.
And the current transfer being $1 million.
So that could mean you spent a lot on different stuff this year, but then next year you won't, maybe you won't have that structural deficit, so.
Well, right now
I mean-
it's built in there.
Mhm.
Right now it's in the budget.
And they don't
Right.
really spend capital out of here, so.
Well, if their revenue increases
So back those
through
three
the
out.
year,
Yeah.
then their
Back
cash
your
will
cash
increase.
Transfer in.
keep in mind, we
your
have a
miscellaneous
rate
are-
increase that was previously approved to help us get the budget number for revenue. So there's a rate increase that will go into effect January 1. The
I
billing
think-
company already has that.
I think some of that was figured into the 2018 revenue, right?
Should
You
have
have-
been, yeah.
Take that out of there.
Zero.
So get off that, I can't see it.
I'd like to keep it
So
where it's
1
at,
point-
and then if we look at the revenue 4 months into the year, because by the 4th month, we should start seeing, or do you think it's gonna be the 4th, 5th, and 6th month? We're gonna have to wait a quarter before we see the,
It's generally 90 to 120 days from billing to cash.
Okay,
generally
so-
in the EMS world. Well, in the healthcare world in general.
What page are we on?
So you guys increased fees this year, along with other changes that we made. And we're seeing about a $350,000 increase in fees. Next year projected, we're at 3.5.
yeah, I saw that already.
So we've kind of considered in that we think fees are going to go up based on that fee increase. I don't know that I would bank on much more than that at the moment.
No, I wouldn't. We don't know what's going to happen with the ACA, and that's a big driver right now, a lot of healthcare reimbursement.
I'm fine with that, I'm just saying we'll wait until middle of next year and see if that revenue growth is actually there. If it's not, I mean, we're gonna have to make some cuts somewhere, but if we leave it the way it is now, projecting conservatively and spending conservatively, then if we do have increased revenue, then we can say, we do have increased revenue, we can send them to the training. I appreciate them using their own time to do it. I mean, it is a benefit for them. It's also a benefit for us, so I think it's a fair trade-off that we can do some of the trainings. But we've survived being part of very few organizations up till now. You know, I mean, as the revenues increase, then we can look at getting more involved. Because that's gonna take time and people working time too to do that stuff. Because next thing you know, you'll have somebody's the chair of the committee, and then they have more meetings and more conferences, so.
Well, like I said, we're ahead year to date. I would anticipate that to at least remain constant next year, if not see it increase. Because again, it's tied to not only the
Those
rates,
rates
but it's
go up
tied to the
in January.
volume as well.
I think the meetings are important if, you know, if we're going for additional training, so, I mean,
Well, if we do
of the
four-
two organizations and meetings, I think the meeting, if we're gonna say, okay,
If we do 4 critical care paramedic classes, we'll go to no meetings. We won't be able to go to 1.
yeah, I think meetings are important, but,
And I say meetings, but it's generally education conferences tied in with specific meetings.
So Jerry, just to give you an idea, if you look at that
Sorry.
last column, we took the contingency, the carry forward, and the transfer in out. There's your current year revenue versus current year expenditures. You're in the whole 1.377. we'd like to keep your transfer in at $1 million. So right now we have 377,000 more in expenditures than where we really want to be.
Okay, but this year we're under budget in total, right? I mean,
No.
we've missed line items?
No.
We're not?
Because
I
of
thought
the
we
money
were.
that you've taken out of contingency. Right now, current activity are $243,000 in the hole.
Okay.
With how much of the transfer?
The transfer was $1,031,672.
I didn't think we'd taken that much out of contingency. We moved line items around, but I didn't think we had, certainly not 100 or 300,000 out of contingency?
No, I'm not saying it all came out of contingency,
Oh.
but that's where your current activity is.
Okay.
But yes, you've moved 200 and,
Oh, I was gonna go out of
the
here.
difference between the 500,000 and the 293, you've moved out of contingency.
That doesn't seem right.
So 207,000.
So we've taken 207,000 out of contingency?
And where did it go?
I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta go,
Yeah, that's what I was
you gotta
thinking.
get out of here
Close.
completely. Go to their contingency.
Bless you.
And then click on that one.
Oh, I'll bet it has to do with refunds and maybe some of that came out.
There's the different,
You can look at the big ones if you want.
What was
So
that?
that's probably the fees that went up for billing because of our increased revenue, because we pay the billing company 6% of collections.
Yeah.
Remember, we had to move money because we were short there. That was a pretty significant amount. So that probably came out of contingency, and then refunds, which I still am trying to get a handle on with them. We should not have as many refunds as we're having. Again, it's a wash in the end, but it generates extra staff time, extra
that was
cost.
760.
We just shouldn't have that many refunds. Refunds are when someone has paid their bill in full, but then the secondary insurance pays. So they've been overpaid, we've been overpaid, so we have to reimburse the
What's that there?
guarantor. And we've spent a lot of money in,
So that's for salaries, overtime, Social Security,
Mhm.
$22,000.
Yep. That 15 was the uniforms.
I'm sorry. Uniform? Yep.
that was the coats. Okay.
Which one?
No, you're good.
Salary one.
When do all these meetings take place? Are they taking place here?
Throughout the year, there's some, there's a couple in the first half of the year, and then there's one that's generally in the fall. EMS Expo and the American Ambulance Association are in the fall. The other couple, I think, are in the first half of the year. They tend to move around a little bit, but they're spaced out. And I believe, I'll check, but I believe the university's already set their critical care class schedule, at least for the first half of next year, if not for the whole year.
I'm okay with taking these back, but my request would be we really try to watch expenses throughout this whole year, and we try to get, see savings in other areas so that we can continue to do this, so, I mean, really have to tighten our belts and watch where our spending is, and so that we can continue to do some of this training, and so.
Yeah, I keep unearthing some things. The most recent is our biohazard, our biomedical waste that we contract with. We found a state, Jennifer found another state bid supplier that's cheaper, that we're going to start after the first of the year. We got rid of the linen service. We've been successful doing our own linen and having exchange with the hospital. So there's things that we continue to find that will help us save money in the long haul.
Make sure you hit the close
I mean,
down here, don't
you know,
hit X.
the big one that really jumps out is that Zerker thing that we have to subscribe to, and I just would think that we would be able to train, not necessarily in meetings, but it was in, was our software maintenance.
Oh, Zerker.
Your audit.
Yeah.
The one-
Oh, no,
doing the
that's the
audit of
emergency medical
dispatch.
dispatch audit.
Mm-hmm.
That is a monumental amount of time, and I'll be honest with you, I had no idea, because I don't have a lot of, in my history, the dispatch center has always run their own thing, and it just happened. I had no idea the amount of time that this took, and we can continue to explore doing that in-house, but it will be at the expense of staff time. It takes a lot of time to do the audits, to be in compliance with the requirements that they have to maintain emergency medical dispatch. We just didn't have the overall personnel time to be able to do it, and I'll be honest, I'd rather have it in-house as well, but I think in the long run it's more expensive to do that when you look at staff time, because we'd have to pull somebody off the ambulance or out of dispatch to do that, so you got backfill time. My assumption is, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be more than 18,000 a year.
I would just think, in all our downtime, that maybe we could have multiple people that might be able to do that while they're not out running calls. But
Well, the problem is they got to be emergency medical dispatch trained, and that's a small group of people. That's 15 people. So we talked about having people come in and doing it on their days off, but that limits it to part-time people, because if you do it with full-time people, it's overtime. So Nicole was trying to do it. There's opportunity down the road to get more people trained, but for right now, I think that's our best bet. And maybe we just sign up for 6 months initially when it's due again, and because they'll let us do that in 6 months increments rather than doing the 18-2. We can do a 6-month contract with them while we continue to explore those options.
And looking at what some of these other counties are paying on their CAD system, we still got,
Oh, we got a good
we got a good deal on this. I
We
mean,
really did. I've never seen one that inexpensive. I know it's expensive. They're all expensive, but they're usually.
But you look at Osage County and Pulaski County, and I mean, they're more than double what we
Yeah.
paid. And so I don't know what their services are, but,
That doesn't go to Zerker, the CAD vendor. That goes to the emergency medical dispatch
Yeah.
folks, the National Academy of Emergency Medical Dispatch, to do those audits. But I'm fine with doing, when it's due, we purchased 6 months in the 17 budget, and in the 18 budget, we could purchase another 6 months while we continue to explore options of bringing it in-house.
well, I'm okay with leaving it in the budget as is, because I think we're going to end up spending it but I just think that there's a lot of lag time that, you know, if we can get people trained, we could probably do it in-house, but anyway, not have somebody do it full-time, but multiple people maybe
Sure.
doing it, so, I mean, that's a big expense, and anyway, but make some decisions. I'm leaving at 11:15, so. You guys can make decisions.
Well, I think the meetings are important.
Okay. So the meetings are a yes then? You gonna spend down the cash?
$13,455, somewhere in the middle, not at all.
I think we got it to where we want it. If we're gonna change that, then we need to figure out where to take it from, so. You're in the middle, Sammy.
Sam sandwich.
Well, I'm okay with increasing the meetings, but.
I knew that was gonna
Yeah.
happen.
So,
Santa Sammy.
go back and find out where we can take the money from, but I think that's important.
Tires for the ambulances are important.
Really?
If you didn't have those, you couldn't do anything. Some of this we can do without. We can still function. If you want to increase the service, improve it, then we gotta figure out where we're gonna take it from. And I'll play a devil's advocate myself, we can take it from contingency.
Yeah.
But we said we wanna do the million, so I think if we're gonna be
Organizations was the first
a little
one.
bit frugal with
67
it,
was organizations.
we gotta stick with it. Have some kind of fiscal restraint. We'll let Jerry do that, then the sheriff's gonna wanna have training. You know he always watches what Jerry gets.
He already came up and pleaded his
The
case.
sheriff had the scholarships, we took that out, we took the scholarships out.
Alright, that's where I was at. Sam, you said put the meetings in or something.
Where are you taking the money from?
So, which ones were you putting in, Chris? You saying going back to,
I was gonna give him both, but, you know, I'd like to see him watch expenses and keep expenses down to offset that. And hopefully our revenues go up too. But I mean, you can't just keep going and spend everything and hope that our revenues go up. I mean, if our revenues go down, you know, we had those discussions too, that we may have to cut staff. We may have to reduce staff and
so we're gonna train them and send them to meetings and then cut them.
Well, I mean, that's not ideal, but we gotta,
Well,
our operations gotta run and can't just, you know, can't just run us
then
out of money.
I would go with Chris then, and we're done.
Alright.
So, take those back and then reduce the contingency.
Yeah,
Leave the million the same. Okay?
We are plowing through it today. Thanks, Jerry.
thanks, Jerry.
How's
Okay.
Kelly, was it
Okay.
Aunt?
But I'll just put it in.
Yeah, I was calling Santa earlier, she's gonna plow next week, they ended up not needing this week, they're getting stuff settled this week and hopefully
Why does that go to
So,
Oh, sorry to hear
we'll let
that.
you guys over after the
To
holidays.
go down and you can
I
change
want,
your
I want
contingency.
to get, meet Dr. Ludi.
A little less crazy after the holidays anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Mhm.
Okay,
I'll email all of you guys.
Okay.
He's not aware.
okay,
Oh, okay.
okay. We have anything else before we go into closed session?
No, I did want to ask you about the windows in the courthouse. I know you guys, we got one bid from Brady's since they came and took the bad one out. Do you want Greg to officially go get another bid from somebody? Is that how we want to do? I mean, it's, let's see, how much was this? It's not quite over the bid amount, so we wouldn't have to officially put it in the paper.
I would at least make a couple of phone calls, because if we don't call anybody else and we just give it to somebody, I'm gonna get phone calls. And they're gonna say, well, why didn't you ask us to do it? And I'm gonna say, well,
I want to know why they didn't use tempered glass before, though. Because, you know, whatever the glass was before it was shot out the first time, it was there forever. And then
This was they're using temporary.
Yep.
we replaced it this year, and then it, you know, cracked. So something,
The way I heard, there was a crack in it, and then it just, I don't know if the weather.
I don't know.
changed it.
I personally think there was something wrong with it when it went in. I
Yeah.
can't prove it. We can't go back and say,
No.
well, they got fixed or anything. I think there was something wrong with from the get-go, because that building's been there for hundreds of years. Okay, not hundreds,
well, I think,
for a long time.
Was there any warranty on that at all? The replacement?
I doubt it. Not with
They
Brady.
don't warranty glass.
no.
I,
Well, I didn't know, you know, Jeff was saying.
yeah, I just don't think there's any way we can prove that there was some kind of defect or workmanship was at fault, so I think it's just one of them things.
I mean, I
Okay,
just wonder if the closer or something isn't messed up too, where it's allowing it to fly open and hit the stop or whatever. I mean, it was windy there several days, so, I mean,
Check it and see, it won't hurt.
but, I mean, I thought that price was outrageous.
Are y'all cold over there? Oh, well, y'all never come visit unless you're cold or you want the thermostat changed or something. I know, I'm just teasing.
She may take over if we're not there.
Debbie, is
I
there
did
something
tell
wrong with
them
BSNA?
that, Lynn, if you get cold, you can tell us too.
Can't get in,
can't get in either? You can't get into BSNA.
so accounts payable's not gonna get approved.
Oh, no, we'll get you in.
It took me forever to get in it too. I reset my
can't get in
computer. It was saying that it wasn't even letting me on the server or whatever, so I just reset it and signed in. We need to figure out too what we're gonna do at the, I ran into Jim Wish the other day, and I know we were gonna talk to Public Works about maybe having somebody looking at stormwater stuff over there by
Yeah, we
the
got-
sheriff's and by Jim,
Oh,
so.
you're not down
So what do we want? What do we want to do?
Just put a big roof over all of it and push it down to City Hall.
No? Yeah, you're watching me, that's the problem. Yeah, that could be a problem.
Yeah, we need to do something.
What are we talking about?
The,
Stormwater issues at the jail.
over there going into
there. Okay, now you put it up.
Lathrop Gauge.
I don't think that's gonna fix it, and I don't particularly care for trying to seal something up, especially if water's coming in underneath that, or water's getting down underneath there, and then there's no way for it to get out. Now you're tearing something up again, so.
Haven't been over to look at that.
I mean, I personally would like to, if we're gonna do something, I'd rather dig a ditch along there and waterproof it, put a pipe and maybe a sump pump or something outside, pump any water that would get down in there out.
Where's it going to now, man? Is this sitting in there like a pool when it all rains in that little
Yeah,
area?
There's a wall there that stops all the water. It comes off and it stops, and then I think it backs up, and so, anyway.
Can you let it get past that wall somehow to direct
Well,
it
you could,
away and down to that alley to be taken to the
Probably could. We'd
stormwater?
have to look at it. I mean, you might have to core drill, core through that wall or something and run a pipe out or something, and just let it go on downhill.
So,
But
Do you think it's going, hitting that wall, and it's taking it to Jim's building, and then it's seeping down in there? Or do you think it's just going into the ground and hydrostatically coming up?
I think there could be a ton of different explanations.
Yeah,
I think the stormwater could be faulty on High Street. It could be allowing water under the ground to travel. I mean, the slope is away from Jim's building, so, you know, typically the water should run away, but there is like a dam there with that concrete wall that keeps it from going on down. So if water is soaking in, it's migrating back. But there's several different levels there, and
But if we dug down, how far would we have to go down? Along, does it, when it drops down over there, does it drop down to the bottom floor of his building?
I think his
Does it
building
walk out?
has multiple floors. I think there's a bottom floor up closer to High Street, and then it goes down and drops again, and there's another bottom floor.
Okay, so well, we're looking at here at street level. I was assuming there was one more level
Right.
below it that walks out,
Mm-hmm,
and that's where he's having the troubles.
yeah.
It's the only place it's not, so. I mean, I think looking at getting something, digging that out along that ditch, like you said, and giving that place, or the water a place. I'm not putting a sump pump in there, I'm not,
I'd rather be
Sure,
gravity
but-
too. I mean, I'd rather not be able to.
but if we have to bring it from here over to here to get it to the storm sewer. I think John was gonna talk to Public Works about it, but then I think Public Works said it's not really what they do.
Right.
So I don't know what our next move is then. Do we get Greg to try to get some ideas together? But we need to do something before spring comes, I would think, or have some kind of plan by spring.
It's obviously an old stone foundation. I mean, water could be coming through the stone. It could be coming underneath the floor and
Mhm.
seeping its way up. I mean, so, you know, until you alleviate that pressure, give it some place to go, you may never fix it, but.
But we can do what we can to mitigate it or to
Right.
at least eliminate it being our fault.
Right.
So, and I mean, I can't sit here and say that it was there before we built the building.
Right.
We very well could have had some of it and just, there's less room for it to go now, to run off, so.
You cold? Really? That's a
It
first.
changes. Don't worry, I'll take it back off.
Did you restart your computer? Because mine would try to initialize and then it wouldn't let it in.
It wouldn't initialize for you, is that what it was doing?
It did like 14
It did kind of
different
sit
things.
there for a long time. Maybe they had a big upgrade.
I thought it was finally gonna go, but.
Okay. We can go to closed session.
Yeah, let
Well,
me,
what
before
do
we
we
do
wanna
that, I
do?
just want to show this. This was presented to us
I'm
at the Christmas party by the Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots we collected over 300 toys. So they gave us this,
And Batman.
yeah, Batman, I didn't bring him in,
Let me go get it.
but do we want to put this somewhere? Ugh. They went to a lot of trouble on that.
Yeah, that's
We could have bought some more toys with that frame.
It's heavy frame too.
Tell them they could have just sent us a thank you card, would have been, no, they didn't have to get us a frame and stuff.
Yeah.
Buy
Oh,
some
wow.
more toys for the tots.
Get 'em on, yeah.
So what do we decide on that over there?
On that, we need to do something.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
I
Just
say we
'cause-
just set a date and we go look at it, and then we
Meet with Jim, maybe.
try to come up with a
I
plan.
just want to keep it on our to-do list.
Right.
Because otherwise it's gonna be March and all these rains are gonna come in and then Jim's gonna be over here going, hey. So if we do what we can to, like I said, mitigate that. So,
Fine. You wanna do it next week, take a look at it?
wait till after the first year maybe or
Fine.
whenever and we can,
Get it on
maybe
the-
after a meeting, let's walk over there and just take a look at it, so.
Get it on the agenda to do that, maybe
Okay.
invite Jim.
Yeah, he can buy us lunch or something.
And by Jim? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, he needs, I mean, because he needs to show us,
or just tell me when you want that on the agenda, we'll get that
he
on
needs to
there.
show us, where it is coming and everything.
Well, yeah, today'd be great, it ain't that damn cold out. Because I know when we put it on there, it's gonna be about 10 below, the wind's gonna be blowing, we're gonna wanna go out there and look at it, so. Just put it on the agenda, if nothing else, if it's crappy weather, we'll punt to the next one, and I think Jim will work with us on it.
Mhm. Well, I think Jim's been very patient.
You want Greg there too, or just you three and Jim?
I'd say Greg probably will be there too.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
See if we can get more heads together, and
okay.
he may not have any ideas, but I think he's gonna be the one that's gonna be ramrodding it. Unless we throw it in, the sheriff's lap, who's it gonna be? Who's taking care of it? So,
I think we are.
I would think maintenance, so. Okay, when are we gonna talk about the Taste of Jeff City thing? Do we gotta decide that anytime soon?
Well, it's in our budget, so,
That doesn't mean anything.
well, that's coming up January.
That's what Sam told Missy.
No,
It's in our budget.
No, it's coming
I
up.
saw that.
No, I said it is in our budget.
You know what
for
she heard?
2018.
She heard, yes.
That's
Sam
exactly what she
said
heard.
yes. I'll do a reply, I'll say, well, that was only one vote, so.
Well,
I already bought my Christmas presents, so I'm not worried about being nice right now.
Let's restart.
So, I guess when we get an invoice, we can decide that, or what?
Yeah, whenever I get the invoice, I'll ask you about it, but I guess if it's before then, you should decide before I get the invoice then. Or before, next year's budget, it is in there. And if that gets you 10 people, then you just have to tell me who you want me to let know.
Do we always have more people than that want to
yeah,
go?
we have,
Well, I think we need to say that we need more tickets,
yeah.
and we're not paying for them.
Well,
No,
no, I
no.
will. No, I will. I would just say, it'll be our elected officials and
Oh, man.
spouses.
The art of negotiation.
If they all
Yeah.
go.
Now we're gonna have to turn these sideways.
I didn't sign that one for the circuit
I didn't
clerk.
either. I didn't.
You didn't? Okay. Then
No.
don't approve that bill then.
The only thing to remember is that's paying us back for
Yep.
the office supplies that we've purchased, so.
Out of our fund. Right.
We've already bought the supplies.
So we've
So something we're
already,
paying ourselves back?
yes.
I mean, she has no skin in it. That's just the point. The only, because,
Well, yeah,
Well-
but I mean, so
We're the
Days.
ones out the money.
yes, both ways.
so where's the money coming from when we transfer it? Out of contingency?
Mhm.
To what?
So what?
Office supplies,
To her office supplies?
but then that is then paying us back for office supplies that we've already purchased out of 127.
Right.
So she's paying her share. In the long run, we're paying ourselves.
Right.
The only thing you
So,
could do is cut next
I
year's
would,
budget.
I would deduct it from next year's budget. We just say, okay, you're already spent, what,
But the
eight-
only way to fix that issue is to possibly bill more often or something, because we're not, waiting quarterly is not
He
getting
puts it on
us.
paper like that.
I mean, it's the same paper, he just turned it around. He just made it smaller. It's the same form.
You tell them to print it on portrait,
That's
not
right. I'll
landscape,
tell
or
him.
vice versa.
I told him to do
It's
it. He said, I already did.
confusing. I had them all turned the right way, and I get one in there that's twisted up.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm just glad to get one. It's only $9.
Hey, if that's the only problem I run into today, I'm a happy, happy man.
Yeah,
So do we need to approve it or disapprove it or?
whatever your pleasure is. I would rather get it paid. If you
I'll-
want to do
I'll-
anything,
here's the deal. I'll
cut it out
approve
of
it.
next year's budget.
But we're
Because-
taking it out of next year's
yeah, that's what I
budget.
had said.
And
That's
I'd
what
say
I-
before we go and give them any more pens and pencils, or whatever the heck they're using,
Well,
we
the
need to
thing
make
that-
sure it's in their budget. What,
The thing that hurt is because they bought scanners at the beginning of the year out of office supplies. They would have had enough money had they not bought that out of office supplies.
were office supplies approved for scanners? were the scanners approved, or?
You gonna sign that one
Normally, I
then?
don't consider
Yeah,
scanners
Jeff
office
will
supplies.
pass it
I
back
consider it
over.
equipment.
I just wanna,
I didn't sign it either, but what? So when the scanner should have come out of,
Here, do you wanna sign out Chelsea's
What?
computer?
We actually did, we transferred the money out of
Fine.
office supplies into.
where should it have come from out of?
This one should be updated.
Where should it have come from?
Or you can do it on that.
Should have been asked for in office supplies, should have
So
been
it
bought
should have
out of
come
your
out
interest
of-
money.
That's what I'm getting at. Should have come out of our capital? Should it have come out of,
Well, there should have
Their
been an
interest?
ask first.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
You made a motion?
No?
Oh.
Give me your
What?
agenda there, huh?
Oh.
My computer
What's-
is trying to update here.
it's not gonna do any good then to change her budget if she's just gonna spend more. She'll put stuff in out of, office supplies then. She'll do it next time too. My
I guess
refrigerator,
we really-
it's office supply.
To me, that one shouldn't have been bought up. Maybe Greg should have paid for that, but.
I
I
say
mean,
we
we
zero her
try.
Yeah, it
budget
should,
when-
it
We
probably
try to
should've.
catch what we can and move it to
It probably
office
should've.
equipment or whatever,
But-
but we don't catch
And
them
those we
all.
moved,
Right.
but we used office supply money.
So then
Right.
why did we pay for the scanners?
Why did we pay for it?
Yeah.
Because she had money in her budget.
Yeah, she had money to transfer.
Well, tell her to send them pencils and pens and pads of papers back. She didn't have money in her budget. $1,862 worth of stuff. Send it back.
Hmm?
The
Oh,
scanners,
wait.
They were bought in March.
An ice maker, $2,700.
It actually cost more than that.
I ain't signing it. You might as well not sign it. I mean, you might as well not have a budget if you're just gonna let them blow through it like that. What's it coming out of?
Well, it's,
Our money, right?
Let him sign on. There you go.
Yep. I agree.
So what was the decision?
We're gonna have to pay for it anyway, whether we transfer it to her or not. If we don't transfer it to her, then what is she gonna do?
We just don't get paid back. She's not gonna do anything.
Then we change the locks on their office.
The only thing you can do is.
No,
replace the
we're
battery.
required to give them a place to work. That's about all we're required to do. If she's just gonna breeze through the budget, why are we even going through this exercise? Like I said, I hate exercising, and this is just as bad. We do all this for what reason? If we're not gonna hold her to it, we can't hold anybody else to it.
So what would you like me to do?
I don't know. Yell at somebody. Where's it gonna come from?
see, you're
Why are
saying
we paying
exactly
for
the
an
same
ice
thing I
maker?
said to Kristen about it when she brought it. Jeff, you know, that's scary.
If we get this $3,000 or whatever for the ice maker, did we approve that? Did we approve getting an
Yeah,
ice
it's not
maker?
a transfer.
There's some transfer, but it was already fixed and done by then.
But that wasn't approved by us. So they can pay for fixing the ice maker and that'll cover that transfer.
It's already been paid for
By who?
by our office supplies, by you. Back in
How? There was
March.
no money in there.
There was money at that point, there's no money now to pay us the last quarter of office supplies. Because it was all used up, so it's all gone. I was just showing you the big.
Who
two
am I buying
frames.
an ice maker for?
There's
It's
that
jewelry.
rent.
For the jury
For
room.
the jury room.
Yes,
That rent
All
for
right.
Dawson.
If the ice maker's broke, we'll get bags of ice.
$19.50 for 3
we
months.
didn't get that notice ahead of time.
$6.50 a month.
We got ice maker right here. Bring it over there.
Did you hear me? That rent for Dawson.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I'm not
was
signing
talking to Greg. I said, I want to go look at that. I don't,
I got two not signed and I'll pick it up.
I signed it.
I signed it.
Okay, thank you. Do you want it out of next
Here,
year's?
give me-
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I want it out of next year's budget.
All right, anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay.
I move we go into closed session pursuant to section 610.021 of the revised statutes of Missouri for legal action sub 1.
Roll call.
Sam?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Chris, you got in?
Yes.
You said 102.
Yes.
No, I said sub 1.
610-1021 is what you said, it's 0211.
That was it.
Yeah, I just said legal actions sub 1.
0211.
Well, I said pursuant to this for legal actions sub
Okay.
1 is